Hi, everybody, and welcome to this first episode. We're talking about the 999th Legion for Child Rights, the Sarnia chapter. Well, that's a mouthful. What's that all about? Well, that's why we're here, and we're going to be coming to you once a month to talk about what the 999th Legion is all about. And we're going to get started introducing the guests here. Christopher Holbrook. Thanks for being here, Chris.
Thanks, David. Nice to be here.
Yeah, and Jaylene Henry, two members of the 999th. And I'm happy to say I'm very proud to be the most recent member of the group as well. The reason we're here, folks, is we want to create the awareness of what this is all about. And we want to clarify some things about exactly what it is the 999th does. So that's why we've decided to come here and talk to you, and that we'll be back here once a month. So let's start, Christopher, we'll start with you. You're the commander of the group. What does that mean?
So if you want to say commander, some people call it the president. Basically just, head of the executive. So it's not just me that runs it. We have a whole executive team that's involved in the decision making. So I guess commander is just kind of a fancy way of kind of keeping everything in order.
Right. You keep the order at the table.
I try to.
Right. And we've got Jaylene Henry here. Jaylene, thanks for being here. And tell everybody your title.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I'm the treasurer for the group. We started out with a small bunch of us, and I think I was voluntold for this position, but I'm happy to be a part of the executive, and I'm happy to be a part of this new group coming to Sarnia. So it's an honor to be a part of that.
I couldn't agree with you more when I heard about it, and it didn't take me long to decide I was all in after meeting with Christopher and having some discussion with the rest of the group, and I sort of voluntold myself somehow. I guess I'm road captain now as well, but. We've all got our responsibilities, and I think the thing that the three of us here today can agree, and I'm sure the rest of the members, is our heart's really into this because of the importance of what we're talking about. And I just wanted you guys want to maybe share a little bit of your background. Maybe that kind of relates into you being here as well. Jaylene, do you want to start with that?
Sure. I am a certified child and youth care practitioner. I've been working in the field for about 6 years now, and I'm currently the regional manager for Broken Arrow Residential Treatment Services. So I work with foster parents and foster children. I do have lots of experience in different settings with children, from schools to community services to group homes. And I have my own foster son here at home as well. So it's definitely something that is close to my heart. And when Chris and his wife, Michelle, asked if I wanted to be a part of this, it was definitely a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, that's great. And that experience you bring to the table as well, which we're going to see why that is important here as well. And Christopher, what about yourself?
Well, I don't have as an extensive background in as Jaylene does.
You will.
I will. I'm getting there. So my mom was a COIC, child and youth care practitioner. My wife is also a child and youth care practitioner. So naturally, hey, why not? I am actually finishing up my third year of child and youth care program at Lambton College. So I will be graduating in April. I'm also I've completed my certification, so I am a certified trauma and resilience practitioner. Okay. Did that through Star Commonwealth, through Life Seasons Care and Support, which is a counseling agency in Sarnia that my mom, my stepdad, and my sister all co-founded. So yeah, it was really through my time at Lambton and really getting into the child and youth care part that gave me the drive to start something like this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how did this, so great backgrounds for what we're doing. And I guess I don't have any of that experience really, but my heart is close to the youth in our community, and I can relate to their circumstances sometimes. I guess, just having the PR experience, I want to be able to use my resources to help bring this to light as well. And we happen to ride motorcycles too, right? Which is an additional part of this. And I want to make it clear, we are not a motorcycle club, but we are a motorcycle group, I guess you could say. But we're really about the child rights, and we just happen to ride motorcycles too, which is a cool part of it, right? That's kind of a bonus for all of us. We love to ride it. That's right. But let's talk. Let's get a little more serious now, though. Christopher, this was originated in Hamilton, right? And then how did it come to Sarnia? Talk about that.
So yeah, it was founded by Kevin and Wendy Ellis in Hamilton. So the full name of this is the 999th Legion of the Knights Templar for Child Rights. So it's an even bigger mouthful than what we thought. Kevin and Wendy are sworn knights in the Knights Templar. So it was really founded by them in Hamilton as a group of volunteers. When they started out, they kind of started like us with a Facebook group kind of thing to get awareness out, stuff like that. And that's when I happened to come across what they were doing. And I started following them probably 4 or 5 years ago, following the work they do. And I always thought, it was a cool idea and stuff like that. But once I started going through the child and youth care program and, found that my heart is with children and youth, I thought there was a need within our community for a program like this. Mm-hmm. Right. And so it was actually not this past Christmas, the Christmas before, I was, got together with my brother-in-law, and we were he rides too. So we, he was a rider. So we kind of talked about, what they did, and we thought, Sarnia could use this. How do we bring it to Sarnia?
Yeah.
So we really had a conversation about that. And, so we reached out to Hamilton about starting a Sarnia chapter. And it was hard work. I mean, there was a lot of conversations, a lot of, meetings, paperwork. It wasn't something that we just talked to Hamilton and said, can we start one? They said, yeah, go ahead. We needed to get reference letters. We needed to prove we were qualified to do this. Like there was quite a few hoops to jump through. And we jumped through them. Unfortunately, just before we got approved, my brother-in-law did pass away, so he didn't actually see this come to light. But if you see, like, we wear original 8 patch, because it started with 8 members. Well, when we sit down at the table, there's only 7 of us because my brother-in-law is that 8th member. Yeah. So he really co-founded Sarnia chapter with me. But yeah, it just basically started as a conversation in my brother-in-law's living room, and it was a lot of hard work, but now we're here.
We are. Yeah, well, and that's paying off. And again, while we're here, you brought up a couple of good points there. It was like, you can't just go and say, hey, we want to start a chapter and can anybody join? And I'm leading to something now as well. Because we're dealing with youth and I guess what would they consider vulnerable in the community, right? There's some process to go. I know the process that I had to go through to be a member, as everybody who's a member of not just the Sarnia chapter, but any chapter is required to take on some background checks. Jaylene, do you want to touch on what that's about?
Sure. Yeah, we definitely need to make sure that we vet our members and make sure that they're appropriate for our group. So there's reference checks, and everyone also needs a vulnerable sector check to be cleared and make sure that they're safe to work with, that they're safe to be around the children. And we also will never work alone with children. We'll always work in pairs for our safety, for their safety. So we really do everything that we can to make sure that the members are appropriate coming into our group and that we're going to have the best possible outcome for our club, not our club, our group, as well as, sorry, it's
hard to get over, I know.
As well as for the youth in our community, to make sure that everybody is going to be safe and well served.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important piece of that. Just much like a coach of a baseball team has to go through that kind of thing as well, because there's just so much going on in our community that the safety is the number one part of all of this. So, okay, here we are. We're riding motorcycles. That's an attraction, but we're here to support children and youth in the community and help them protect their rights. So let's tell everybody. Okay, great. What are we doing to do that? What do we do, Christopher?
So what our main focus is we do support children and youth that either have been or are victims of bullying and child abuse.
Right.
So, I mean, we do that in different ways, whether it's just kind of being a presence, whether it's helping parents navigate the school system if there's bullying at school. We help connect them to resources within the community, whether it's community programs, churches if they're faith-based. With the social services available that they might not know of, we might be able to connect them in different places like that. We also do offer, if a child does have to go to court to face an abuser, we do offer, if you want to say protection, close personal protection. And really it's just to be there as a support. Yeah. Because for a young child having to go into a courtroom to face their abuser, that can be a really scary situation. So to be there to support them.
And sometimes that abuser can be really close to that child.
Absolutely.
For the youth, right? And that makes it even more of a scarier situation for that child or youth. Jaylene, what's your experience been with, you've been around with the 999 a little bit longer than myself. So what's your experience of what's been done and what kind of support the group puts out so far?
Well, so far it's really been a big learning curve, and getting all of us to know one another, to work together. We meet monthly. We make sure that we're taking the right steps to, first of all, do right by the Hamilton chapter. Like Chris said, there are some certain steps that we have to follow. So a lot of it so far has been learning how to conduct ourselves appropriately as a chapter, because we want to be taken seriously and we want the community to know that we're here for them. But we wanted to make sure we had our ducks in a row first before we kind of came out in the community. So a lot of it has been that so far. And then we do have some things in the works that you might hear announced at a later date, but that is super exciting. And we are very, very excited to get out in the community and to meet some people and to let them know that we're here and that we're here to support the youth. I think that Chris touched on it really, really well. I think an important aspect of it is that we're not trying to duplicate any services that Sarnia already has. We're trying to work with these services and to link these children and youth to the appropriate services if they don't have them.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a really good point that I'm glad you brought up, because sometimes we kind of look and sometimes you think, well, that organization's duplicating a service and that one, and then things get a little political, so to speak. And we're trying to avoid that here with the 999th. We want to be kind of the connector, if you will, to all those organizations. And between, all of us currently sitting at the table, between all of our resources and the organizations we've worked with, or we know people there, we really kind of be that glue, I guess, that can link things together. And I find surprisingly, and you guys working in the field, but I really find, based on what I do, that as much as I know there's so many great organizations out there willing to help, it still amazes me how many people don't know about them still, So, or I think the other thing I come across is people are afraid to ask for help. They're embarrassed, or they're afraid of the consequences that they think might happen if they, there's so many different reasons to be afraid to ask for help. Sometimes a stranger is even more comforting sometimes. So would you agree with that's what we are? We're kind of like the connectors.
Yeah, And I don't know, Chris, if you want to touch a little bit on another way we can support is through our support rides as well. If that's something that a youth is in need of, and how we continue to follow up after that ride.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chris, we're talking about that.
yeah, absolutely. So if we begin to support a youth in the community, it's not a one time done sort of thing. You know, it's usually a parent would reach out to us and explain what is happening, and we will meet with the family, meet with the youth. Um, you know, we can give options. We can, you know, depending on what they need. Do they need an agency? Do they need a community program, or do they just need our presence? You
Yeah.
know, especially when it comes to the bullying end, a lot of youth are bullied in school. Um, and one of the main barriers that parents have is they don't know how to navigate that. They don't know
Yeah.
how to navigate the school system, the school administration, um, you know, and that's where we can step in to help. We don't go into the schools and without them and say, you know, and start demanding anything. We go into the school with them to
Yeah.
support them, and help them navigate that. And then after that, you know, it could go a bunch of different ways. You know, if the bullying continues, it might mean that a few of us get together and we pick the youth up from school. You know, and I've heard a lot of people say, you know, you guys all show up on your bikes at the school. You're just trying to intimidate. We're
Yeah.
not out here to intimidate 12-year-olds, but we are out here to show that, you know, to the bullies, like the one you're bullying has support. You know, they're not alone. Um,
It's
but it
interesting you
also,
brought that point up because we have talked about that, and I think I'll just stop you there for a minute. Let's talk about that point. Okay, so 10 motorcycles pull up at outside the school playground because Tommy's having a hard time. Um, that could come across as intimidating. But I think it's the relationships that that we have already with some of the schools, and more that we're looking to build those relationships with. We don't just pull up and rev real loud motorcycles, and you better not mess with Tom. Like let's be realistic here. But that being said, I think sometimes we who ride are labeled as such sometimes to be intimidating when we're just riding because we like to ride. And by
And
the
I
way,
think
we
that
also want to help
that's
children.
story. I think that that's a huge piece to why we want to start to talk to people in our community,
Yeah,
and get our faces out there and get talking to them, because we're just people and we work in our own community.
right.
Um, and we ride, like you said, because it's fun, and we rode before this. But if we can combine two of our passions, then why not, right?
100%.
But we're real people, and we're not scary people pulling up on bikes, and that's why it's really nice to get out there and to talk to people and to meet them, and you can see our face, and know that that's not our intention.
Yeah. Well, I think we're off to a great start. There's the three of us here today, but there's some other members. Jaylene, I know your husband's a member, and we've got some few others to speak about. I know that my son and my wife will be getting involved. But what about somebody who's watching this right now and says, "Boy, I really like what this is all about." A couple of questions: do you have to ride to be a member? And how do I become a member, Christopher?
you don't have to ride to be a member. The only criteria we have as a chapter is we have to keep our membership to at least 50% of riders.
Okay.
So no, you don't have to be a rider to join. However, we're not always looking for new members. However, we are always open to volunteers. When
Right.
we do events in the spring and summer, whether it's rides or any other fundraising event, anything like that, bullying awareness event, whatnot, we will need volunteers. But if anybody's interested in becoming a member or volunteer, you can always send an email um, to let us know your interest. And then, I mean, the process is, there'd be a conversation. There is an interview with myself and Jaylene's husband, Dwayne. He is our security officer. So there is an interview process for that. And as you said before, there is a vulnerable sector check, background check. And then that all gets sent to our Hamilton chapter, which is our national chapter now. And, that all gets sent to them. And once they okay it, then you can be patched in. And when you are patched in, we do have an oath that we all take to protect, serve and protect the youth in our community.
Well, it's a good process, but it's an important one, right? So I think that's good. And I say we welcome people to stay in touch with what's happening. We'll have all the emails and the information posted in the comments in case you want to reach out. I think that's about it for this time. It's a good start to letting everybody know what the 999th is all about. But just before we do, Jaylene, I'll start with you. You got any final thoughts you want to share?
I just want to share that I'm so excited that we're here, and I'm beyond excited to get to talk to the other service providers in our community, the schools and the people in our community, and just let them know that we're here to support their kids if they need it. And I'm just really excited to get out there this spring.
You can tell it's in you, right? That's awesome. Christopher, what about you? Final thoughts, buddy?
I think the one thing, like we mentioned what we're all about and what we do and how we support the youth that have or are a victim of child abuse or bullying. However, I think it's important to look at the other side, because we don't only support those youth. We also support the bullies themselves.
Yeah.
Because there is a need on both sides. So, I mean, we're not one-sided. When it comes to bullying situations, there's always two sides, and we are available to support each side. So we're
not here to judge anybody.
No, we're not one-sided at all.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like Jaylene said, we're excited to get out and meet everybody. Connect with the other services in the community. Kind of let them know who we are, find out what they're all about, so that we can, we have all the information we need to connect the youth in need to the right programs and agencies within the community.
Yeah. And Jaylene hinted there as well. There are some things in the works. There's a special event coming up on April the 24th. That's all we'll tell you for now. Tease. You got to come back and see us again. We will be live next month on March the 17th. I think we're doing that. And well, we're doing it now because I just said it. And even though it's St. Paddy's Day, we'll be here to talk more about the 999th Legion for Child Rights. So thank all of you for watching. And again, any information to be able to reach out to any of us here will be posted in the comments below. I'm very excited to be a part of this group as well. It's an important key that's going to be added into our community that will offer another option support to the youth and children in our community, and not just them, but mom and dad and the families that support those youth as well. Thanks, guys. I'm looking forward to when we can get together around the table in person again. But for now, this will have to do, and I'm certainly looking forward to what all of us, with all our resources combined, can accomplish here with this group. Thanks, both of you.
Thanks, Dave.
And thanks to all of you once again. As always, I'm your host, David Burrows. Until next time, take care of each other. Bye for now.